Hello folks, welcome back to another one of our shipping videos. Today I am once again back to rate your ships. I have decided to pass over waifus in favor of ships. I feel like ships are just a little bit more fun. I'm not sure what I'll do next week, but who knows? I might change it up. Maybe invite another AniTuber to join me. Maybe I'll actually do that rate your AniTubers thing. Who knows? But today, it doesn't matter, because we're here to talk about your ships, your OTPs, the whole 9 yards. So friendly reminder, if you do not know how the rating system works in these videos, be sure to check the description. I have listed out all the ratings there, so it goes from S tier at the tippity top to F tier at the bizzity bottom. Also big reminder, just know that these are my opinions, they are not fact. I am not trying to rain on your parade. If you do ship these folks, then that's awesome for you. Not trying to take anything away from you, just give you my opinions on some of your OTPs, your BroTPs, your OT3s. There is no OT3s in this list, unfortunately, but maybe next time. Without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and dig right into it, starting with @D_evil667, who says, "Me, X being forever alone." I'm gonna have to give that one a B. Why am I giving that one a B? Well, because that's hella relatable. Anyway, moving on, we have @OtakuFangirl18, a girl, and she says, Hero and 02, and I'm gonna have to give them a solid A tier. Hero and 02 go through so much together, and their characters grow separate and yet together at the same time. Like, they specifically grow because of each other. The story starts off with those two meeting as the catalyst for the story. However, they don't just grow together as a couple, but they also grow separately as their own units. And I think that's really important for a ship. I feel like some level of some level of independence is important in a ship. You have to like both of the characters, plus you have to like seeing them together, and you have to like the idea of them getting together. That's what differentiates an OTP from a ship. And as I gotta say, Hero and 02, I can absolutely see that being an OTP for a lot of people. It was an OTP for me up until about episode 16. Yeah, the downside to Hero and 02 and what holds them back from an S tier, because I don't know if you guys remember when Darling in the Franxx was going on, that show just absorbed the community. Like, so many of us were glued in. I remember, like, there's a fantastic video out there by Isla McTeer, friend of the channel. Isla, like, perfectly summed up the insane ride that was Darling in the Franxx. It's such a trip of a show. And I do agree with Isla where it's great, and then gets real shaky. And I was one of the people who were saying, like, people are just love to hate on the show. But as it goes on, man, like, yeah, it gets rough. And there's character decisions, there's story decisions that I just don't agree with. And ultimately, while it doesn't ruin the ship, it certainly hurts it. Although I do think, without spoiling anything, the ending has some bittersweet, like it's bittersweet, and I do like a bittersweet ending, but at the same time, it's very hopeful and very optimistic, and it really does have this sort of love conquers all, love grows, love evolves type of ending to it that I feel like does sort of lift the ship back up. So I gotta give Hero and 02 an A. I just, like, above all else, they're just cute together. So I just like it. Plus that one, like, 02, darling, like that whole, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If, like, that one scene, the one big scene, I just love it. And it's I don't know, it's refreshing to see these two characters who, like, genuinely care about each other straight up say I love you in the middle of the show instead of the end. But upon rewatches, that's where the show ends for me. It's too bad it never got past episode 15. I feel like the show had so much more to give. And if that were true, Hero and 02 would be an S tier, but alas, A tier it's gonna have to be. @Aisu Okami says Takumi and Oboro from Fire Emblem. I'm gonna give this ship a B. I also set up Takumi with Oboro during my run through the series, or the run through that specific game, because I do like Birthright more than Conquest. Although I do like both. I don't know. I guess it depends. Takumi in particular is a character who I feel like a lot of people are, like, real hot and cold on. It's the same thing with his alternative on the other end there. Leo. Although, in fairness to Leo, Takumi got on my nerves a little bit more than Leo did. But I still like both of them. I feel like Takumi is a character who certainly grows over time, and he ended up being one of my like mainstay characters. Like, I held on to that character pretty much through any opportunity that I could use him. He ended up being one of my more... I'm pretty sure I actually ended up over-leveling him. So I do like Takumi as a character, in particular in his gameplay. But as a character, I like him as well. And I just feel like he fits best with Oboro. That said, I do think Oboro also fits as well with other characters, so that's kind of what holds it back for me. But I do like Oboro and Takumi. I do think they are decently solid together, and I feel comfortable giving them a B. There's not enough Fire Emblem ships in these videos. Next time, like, we might do just an entire video on specifically Fire Emblem ships, because I really feel like you could dive deep and talk about so many ships from the Fire Emblem series. But yeah, there's not enough Fire Emblem ships. Next time, send me more Fire Emblem ships, please and thank you. Moving along, we have at Nacho Gashardo, and they say Sengen from Dr. Stone, and I gotta give them a B. I am of the mind where I feel like Senku may not really be interested in relationships, be they romantic or sexual. And if I may quote Jenny Nicholson, I feel like he's maybe a little too nutty professor to really settle down with anybody. However, that changed a little bit into the series. I want to say, like, from where we are now, and about maybe like an episode or two beforehand, I really started to kind of gravitate towards Senku and Gen. Gen and Senku both have that sort of like evil but not quite evil sort of sense to them, where Senku can be very mad scientist and Gen can be very like maniacal, like like the schemer type, like the Loki. And I feel like that dynamic that they share makes any time they're on screen fun, because you're sort of watching, it's like watching Lex Luthor interact with somebody like, say, the Joker. It's fun to see those two dynamics bounce off each other, because you know they're both schemers and they're both evil. It's just fun. It's fun to see two characters who are a bit like maniacal and like their dark humor, like poking jabs at each other, interact with each other. And I do get the sense that since they're both from the past, but they both share like some level of intellect, that they share a lot more in common than they realize. And what really pushed it over the top for me was when Gen purposely tried to trick Senku into thinking that he was asking about his own birthday, when really he wanted to make sure that he got Senku a gift for his birthday. And he wanted to make sure that, like, because it was Christmas, right? And he's like, okay, when's your birthday, out of curiosity? And he got Senku a birthday gift. And I just thought that was the friggin' sweetest. And seeing their conversation afterwards about the telescope and yada yada, it's cute, okay? Like, a lot of my explanations end with, it's just cute, but damn it, it's just cute, okay? Moving on, we have Sharon Nadamashi, and they submit Askeladd and Bjorn, and I'm unfortunately gonna have to give this one a D. Now, don't get me wrong, I like both of these characters. In fact, I really like both of these characters, especially Bjorn, my husbando forever, and Askeladd is just the friggin' man. I could maybe put Askeladd on the husbando status, but I gotta wait to see how the rest of the season plays out, because he's a little too Loki. He's a little too like schemy, so I'm gonna have to wait to see how things play out for Askeladd. However, I like both of these characters. I do think they have a fun dynamic. However, the reason I'm giving it a D is because this is rating your ships. I can't really ship these two because I have them in my bro TP. This is a good example of two bros whose love is so pure as this is the equivalent of two bros chilling in a hot tub. Like, that's what this is. Like, 5 feet apart because they're not gay. It's just not, this ain't it. They absolutely have great moments together. They absolutely have a great dynamic. However, to me, it's very clear that this is like a specifically two best friends. In fact, well, I don't want to say, but like, in fact, it's just, that's how I view it. It's two best friends, and I can't view it any other way. It's the same reason why I don't ship. Well, you know what? I'm going to hold on to that. Mum's the word on that one, because I feel like one day somebody will submit that ship, and there's a couple ships that I think I could really blow some people's hair back with how I feel about them, and so far they haven't been submitted yet, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't ship Askeladd and Bjorn, so I have them in my bro TP because they're good lads and they're good friends, but because of that I have to put them in the D as a ship. Next up we have at Kusoi Ichi, and they say Narusasu and C tier. Oh Lord, I'm sorry. I know this is like a cardinal sin of shipping to not like Naruto and Sasuke. I'm sorry. I just don't ship this. Is it funny? Sometimes, yeah. I grew up with Naruto, so I remember like the moment where they accidentally kissed by accident. I laughed my ass off, and I also realized like, yeah, I could kind of see it. Like even back then, I'm like, yeah, I can understand why people ship it. But same thing with Bjorn and Askeladd. The only reason why it's that step above Bjorn and Askeladd is that, again, there's moments where I can kind of see it. However, it just doesn't work for me because to quote Naruto, he is his nakama. Like, they are best friends. And I just don't see it beyond that. I know a lot of people do. And don't get me wrong, I can understand. It's just not my cup of tea, you know what I'm saying? Like, with Naruto, I just ship him so much with Hinata, and they're canon, bitches! I will never let that go. Naruto and Hinata being canon meant as much to me as them showing that Demyx and Zexion, or, Ienzo, whatever, we're gonna have a scene together in Kingdom Hearts 3, because boy, like, that's another ship. I'm gonna hold off on Zemyx. One day somebody will ask me about Zemyx. One beautiful day. But we're not here to talk about Zemyx. We're here to talk about Narusasu and why I don't quite ship it as much as other people. Again, as you can see, C tier. And again, my reason is just I don't really ship it that much. I ship Naruto more with Hinata. And, I mean, I guess Sasuke's with Sakura, I guess. Poor Karen. But, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I just ship them more with other people. And if I'm totally honest, I think Sasuke just doesn't really do romantic relationships all that well. I think he has the capacity to have friendships with a lot of characters, and I do like Sasuke quite a bit. In fact, one of my exes was obsessed with the man, which did eventually sort of warm me over to the man's side. It eventually won me over. Because for a long time I was anti-Sasuke, but now, the older you get, the more you're like, I get it, man. I understand. Especially, older Sasuke, like Boruto Sasuke. Bro, Boruto Sasuke is great. However, I just don't ship it. I can see it a little bit more. I do understand where people are coming from, but for me, it just is just not it. The next ship we have up on the bracket is at Liberty Bell 89, and they say red and white blood cell, and I'm gonna have to go ahead and give that a B. And if you were just listening to this out of context without having the visual, that would sound really weird. Red and white blood cell are cute as shit, man. Most B tiers are just like, I like it. I don't know, I just like it. And with red and white blood cell, I think the reason why I like it so much is that it was such a surprise. Cells at Work in general was quite a surprise. I don't remember where I ended up ranking it in my every anime from the 2010s. I think it ended up ranking in the B tier somewhere. I'm pretty sure, or at the I don't quite remember where. But I did enjoy the show. It was quite a surprise. It eventually started to kind of spin its wheels a little bit. But what really held the show together was just how much red and white blood cell bounced off each other and were so fun together. They really did hold that show together for me, to the point where anytime we cut away, I was almost rarely ever as interested as I was when the two of them were on screen together. I think a lot of that has to come down to the fact that David Pro really poured so much effort into that show. It really showed in every episode, and I just love those two to pieces. I liked her red blood cells just panic in every situation, but she still tried her hardest, and that sort of endeared her to White Blood Cell, who really is already a badass, but he appreciated her work. And I loved that, will I ever see you again? Probably not, because there's millions of us, but who knows, maybe. And then they kept bumping into each other, yo, it's cute as shit. Say it with me, folks. It's just cute, okay? I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. Next one comes from @Quad Tiggerson, and they say Celti and Shinra, and I gotta give that a B. As some of you guys may know, I am not a big fan. I actually really think the show is kind of overhyped. It's not for me. I really don't like it. Well, maybe really don't like it's kind of harsh. It's just sort of bland to me. I've never really been into it. However, the only characters from that show that ever held any kind of interest for me was Celti and Shinra. They're the only two parts. They are the sole part of that show that had me interested, to the point where any storyline that involved them had me really excited, because I really did like those two. I just think that the whole Celti Shinra dynamic, it's just interesting because it's certainly cute, but it also goes to like some kind of dark places when you realize like how long Shinra has known Celti and like what Celti means to him, what he's willing to do for her, how he's like almost like at times nefarious about her. Like it makes them interesting. And Celti's just a friggin' badass. And again, like the fact that she also cares for him, it just, the way that they talk to each other is cute as shit. Repeat after me, it's just cute, okay? For the sheer fact that the dynamic goes beyond the fact that they work well together into like, it actually makes the characters deeper, like the sort of darker places that the relationship takes these two. It really, to me, sort of, not only is it the highlight of for me, but it's also just a really solid ship, so I have to give them a B. I feel like they're, I don't know, they're that show's saving grace for me. I really love those two. Next up is Taki Dearest, and they say Haru x Water. And ladies and gentlemen, we have our first S-tier ship of the video. Don't even at me, you know it's true. The only thing that Haru loves on this earth more than Makoto or Rin is water. I have actually seen fan art, like straight up, no joke. Fan art of anthropomorphized water, like a goddess of the sea, and Haru. Yo, like it kind of fits. Haru even says like the part like the first time he fell in love, like back in season 1, right? Like when he fell in love, his first crush, right? And they think he's telling the story of this girl that he saw while he was on, I think it was like a hiking trip or a camping trip or something. And he sees this waterfall, and they think like there's a girl in the waterfall. He's like, no, it was the waterfall. Like that's what it was. And you see him get like all nostalgic for it, and they're like, oh my god, Haru. But at the same time, like, nah, that's it though. That's the OTP right there. Haru x Water forever. And let me tell you something about water, man. It's a jealous bitch looking at you, Makoto and Ikuya. Like, almost killed some of Haru's potential shipmates. Just tossing that one out there. Next up, we have at Ophelia Main, and they submit Kuro Ken, aka Kuro and Kenma from Haikyuu, and you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give this an A. Kuro Ken is, to me, slept on because a lot of us, and like admittedly, like rightfully so, a lot of us seem to care more for the Karasuno gang and the ships between that crew than we really do about anybody outside of Karasuno. So I do feel as though Kuro Ken occasionally gets slept on. I know it's one of the bigger ships, but I don't feel like it's as big as it probably should be, since these two are just like straight up made for each other. These two are perfect together. Kuro I like a lot, but I don't like him as much as Kenma, admittedly, which does sort of hold it back a little bit. I like Kuro, but I'm more interested in how Kuro interacts with Kenma than I am how Kenma interacts with Kuro, and vice versa, and like how Kuro is feeling. Like I mainly like Kenma, but Kuro's cool too. Kuro's badass, and that's why I like him. Like he's like, he looks like a Yankee type, but instead he plays volleyball. Like he's a cool character, but I think what holds the ship back for me is the fact that A, we don't see this pair as much as we probably should. Looking forward to that OVA, by the way. Like, where is that dropping? Just as a side note, are we gonna get that OVA legally, or am I gonna have to do some like Jack Sparrowing to find it? And two, I think the other reason is, yeah, I feel like Kuro needs a little bit more fleshing out, because Kenma we know a little bit better than we know Kuro. I'd like to see Kuro fleshed out just a little bit more, and then maybe it can ascend to an S tier. We'll see. At Blue Rose Enigma says Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kirito, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give this one a D. I'm sorry, folks. Like, for me, it's just, this is sort of an Askeladd and Bjorn situation where I just don't really ship it. I see this more as a bro TP. Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kirito, like, for, like, it's veering on a C, because again, like, I can see why people might ship it, but I to me, the whole point is that, like, they're brothers. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kirito, to me, like, are so close that they veer between, like, they kind of blur the line where they're best friends, but that bond is so tight they almost become brothers. So, like, they're a bro TP to the nth. They're like an S tier level bro TP. But as a ship, no. And with Kirito, I'll just say this once, and which kind of sucks because it means I'm going to put the kibosh on most future Kirito submissions, but Kirito is married So everything else is a big no. Kirito and Asuna is an S tier, everything else is a D tier because they no. But yeah, like to summarize, Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh are like S tier bro TP, D tier ship. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Next up, we have Babel64, and they say Oraki and Chitanda from Hyoka, and that's getting an A. Hyoka is one of those shows where I'll go back and rewatch some of my favorite episodes just because, like, I like it that much. Like, it doesn't matter what day it is, I'll just, like, throw on a couple episodes of Hyoka and be, like, totally satisfied. It's such a good show. And the main crux of the show is how you say "watashi kini narimasu." You can basically summarize the Oraki and Chitanda ship in like that one sentence alone, just "watashi kini narimasu." That's the whole ship, basically. Oraki, before he meets Chitanda, is lazy, he is aimless, he has friends, but he's very distant, and he seems pretty comfortable just coasting through, which, I mean, hella relatable, honestly, but what makes the ship work so well is the fact that, like, Chitanda really, like, with that "watashi kini narimasu" bullshit, really pulls Oraki into life. Like, she gives him, I don't want to say she gives him life, but she gives him purpose. And I really think that, like, that goes a long way to making the ship so solid. And it also goes the other way around, too, because, like, Oraki does a lot for Chitanda as well. She gives her life a sense of adventure. She answers the questions. He answers the questions that she asks. And he's willing to solve the mysteries that she puts forth. And he, like, whether or not he'd admit it or not, he has fun doing it. And you can tell, like, he's just, it's exciting for the two of them to go on these mini adventures. And I would love to see what happens to them, and it's what really holds it back from an S tier because the show ends on a goddamn cliffhanger. Okay, well, not necessarily a cliffhanger. I'm not gonna spoil it. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But it's like, man, I want to see what happens next, but there's never been a season 2. And to this day, it's one of the shows that I was like I hold on high as, like, absolutely needs a sequel. And I know some folks are gonna be like, really? But it's just a slice of life. Yes, bitch, really. The next ship submitted comes from Isabella Kopi, and they submit Miritama from My Hero Academia, and I'm gonna give them a strong B, because this is the new hotness. I was shocked with the amount of Miritama fans. Like, I had like 1 or 2 comments saying, like, JoJo, wait for it. And I was like, okay, y'all, calm down. Like, they're just boys. But then the episode happened, and I was like, never mind, they are more than friends. Like, oh my. But apparently, that's like, as soon as that episode came out, and that tells me, like, the manga fans, like, kept their mouths shut hard because they knew I was gonna freak out about it. So nobody prepared me for Miritama at all, and it was a really pleasant surprise because I was like, man, I really like this ship. I did get 1 or 2 comments from some folk who were, like, annoyed with me that they're like, you always ship people, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of the point of the channel. If you didn't notice that by now, then you are very oblivious. But at the same time, I feel like with most art, it's good to look between the lines. Like, yes, a surface level value is important, but with your fiction, it's probably important to kind of, like, really analyze what's going on, and like reading between the lines and digging into certain things can be fun, and that's like, but at the same time, you don't really need to look that hard at Miritama, even on the surface, to see, like, he's into him, and he's into him too. Like, they're both into each other. It's not hard to see. And I can't help but feel like, and this is probably gonna start a fight, but I can't help but feel like the people who are like, yo, you going too far, man. Like, Mirio and Tamaki are just friends, man. I feel like those people are the same people, and you know these people are the same people who tried to say that Yuri and Victor were just friends. They're dating. They're not friends, they're dating. I don't, like, no, that's happening. Also, Horikoshi just strikes me as the kind of dude who puts a lot of subtext into his work, and he's obviously been very, like, pro-LGBT, he's very friendly, like, with that kind of stuff, so, yeah, I don't know, I think it's, I honestly, I don't want to put my hat on it and, like, say, like, this is happening. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being canon. Like I would not be totally shocked. At the very least, like if it's like really heavily hinted at being canon. Cause that shit's already canon if you ask me. One episode alone and it's already at a B tier. It didn't even start at the C tier. It didn't even start at the like, yeah, it's okay. It started immediately at the like, yep, I really like it. It started at the B tier. And I would not be surprised if Miritama ended up going all the way up to S tier. And that's saying something, because as you guys know, My Hero Academia has a lot of friggin' ships in it. Next up, we have at Toko Shark, and they say Thorfinn and Count, and I'm gonna give this a C, unfortunately. It's okay. It's still growing on me, and it's gonna take some time. For a long time, I thought that these two characters would have very separate journeys, but really their journeys are very parallel, which I find to be pretty interesting. I think one of the things that holds the ship back for me is the fact that they haven't really done much on screen together, and even the scenes that they do have on screen together are just kind of bland. Like, they're just sort of okay. I do feel like it has some, like, there's moments where there's like a glimmer of potential where like maybe it could be a B tier ship, maybe it could even be an A tier ship. I don't think it'll ever be an S, but it could be a strong ship. It really, really could. But right now, it just doesn't really hold my attention. It's just kind of a C. I think Thorfinn is too angry to really be in a relationship. I can see them maybe growing closer as the show goes on, and I can see my opinion on it changing. But from where I stand right now, I just don't really see it. Moving along, we have at KJ_Creed, and they say Mai and Sakuta from Bunny Girl Senpai, and I'm like, that's an easy A. Mai and Sakuta are so good that when the show tried to focus on another girl, I straight up lost interest in the show. Yeah, I still don't like What's-Her-Face that much. If you've been with the channel for a long time, you may remember my old Minute videos, and I covered Bunny Girl Senpai during those videos, and I was not kind to like the follow-up arc after Mai and Sakuta, because personally, I feel like you could have had the entire first arc be a movie on its own, and it would have been great. Mai and Sakuta is so good that the rest of the show struggles to catch up until the Futaba arc happens. Like, it really, like, they're so good together that I literally can't watch Sakuta be around other people other than Mai. Like, I just think that those two are so good together. They are so fantastic together that it almost hurts the show how good they are. Anyway. What I like is that when Sakuta gets into shenanigans, because he has to get involved, because A, he's the main character, and B, the stuff just seems to get drawn to him. It's almost like he can't help but get involved, and he's a good enough dude where, like, he kind of has to. He's a rascal, don't get me wrong, but he kind of feels, he has that sort of, like, I am just a good person, and I can't let you go through this stuff on your own. I'm gonna help you even if it drives me crazy, and that's the kind of dude Sakuta strikes me as. And what I love is that Mai knows this about her boyfriend, because they're dating, which I love. It's not like a hinted at ship like some of my other ships, like this is actually like a thing. And what I love is that Mai knows this about her boyfriend and doesn't try to change him, and accepts that that's who he is, and accepts that sometimes that might get him into certain situations that might make it look like something's happening, but she trusts him and knows that nothing is actually happening. And while sometimes they do fight, if they ever fight, it's because of a very real reason, and they don't keep fighting, and they actually try to work through their problems. They don't just have a fight, blow up, walk away, and then come back together and pretend like everything's gravy again. Like, no, they actually talk and work through their problems, and I love that. The only thing that really holds them back is the fact that I want to know what's going on with Sakuta's past. That one chick, I gotta know what's going on with her. I think that gets explained in the movie. Once that baggage is done with, then they can be an S tier ship. For now, it's an A, but it's very, very close to an S because I really love these two. The next ship up on the docket comes from H. Bannock, and they submit Kiri Tetsu from My Hero Academia, and that's another one that's going to have to get a D tier for me. Their personalities match each other really well, there's that, but again, it's a situation of like, are they really a ship, or are they just rivals? I don't, not all rivals have to be a ship, you guys. Would you want to date somebody who's identically like you, or would you rather just hang out with that person and be friends with them? You'd probably just want to be friends with them, because if you're around like somebody who's literally you for that long, you'd go insane. So like, nah, I just don't see it. I could see them as like sparring partners and like dudes who like I could see them as a pair of friends who like spar together since their quirks are so similar, and then like in their downtime, like they're like drinking bottled water and talking about like the jobs that they're working right now, like what their hero work is like, what their relationships are like right now, like just sort of like talking to each other, working through some stuff and being like there for each other. I can see them being like rivals who are very like friendly rivals who are like friends first and rivals second. But as a ship, nah, man, I just don't really see it. Like nothing about them strikes me as a romantic couple. I can see them being I can see them being friendly rivals. Romantic couple, nah, I just don't see it. I feel like Kirishima's gonna end up in almost every ship video. Is Kirishima a shipping hoe? Like, is he in every? Is he like Kaneki in like Demix, where he just gets shipped with everybody? I feel like he is. Good lad. Anyway, moving on. Moving along, we have at Kisa-chan94, and they say Yuki and Hatsuharu, and that's getting an A. Yuki and Hatsuharu are perfect. They are fantastic. Hatsuharu is so protective of his boyfriend, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think Hatsuharu's whole relationship towards Yuki is fascinating, and everything with Hatsuharu, like especially the backstory between the two, like, oh, it's so good. It's such good shipping material. And while no, I haven't seen the original series, I have seen the GIF where Hatsuharu like T-poses and floats his way over to Yuki and then just holds his shirt the way he does, where he kind of grabs like Yuki's shirt with two hands. It's just, they're just cute, okay? And I do still, like, where we are in season 1, I still kind of ship Yuki Toru, but not as much as I did at the beginning. Like, if you go back and watch the beginning of my Fruits Basket videos, you'll see I was like team Yuki and Toru, like all the way. Now I'm more Kyo Toru and I'm more Yuki Haru. Like, I just feel like Yuki and Hatsuharu, that dynamic to me works a little bit better than Yuki and Toru. I think Yuki and Toru are just good friends. I feel like even good friends doesn't really justify it. I feel like the bond between Yuki and Toru is really passionate, but I don't see it so much as being romantic anymore, as it's this sort of platonic love. Like, you're there for me, I'm there for you, and I will always be there for you, but it's not so much like a romantic thing. Am I crazy? Like, does that make any sense? Like, that's how I view it. Like, they're two characters who care very deeply for each other, but not in a romantic sense. Whereas Hatsuharu and Yuki, I feel like Hatsuharu and Yuki could develop, like, they have that similar bond of, like, I care very deeply for you, but, like, currently it's a one-sided. Like, I do feel like Hatsuharu has feelings for Yuki, but I don't know if Yuki necessarily has feelings for Hatsuharu, at least not yet. I feel like it could be an S tier if it ever gets to that point where Yuki maybe shows some sign, because right now he's close with Hatsuharu, but I haven't seen enough from Yuki's end to justify an S tier, but it's very high up in the A tier for sure. And finalement, good for you if you know what that's a reference to. At JRod Stant Dog says Regisa, and ladies and gentlemen, we are ending this video with an S tier. Regisa's life. Yeah, I almost don't even know if I want to say any more than that. Regisa's life. Rei and Nagisa from Free are one of my favorite ships in all of Free. They're one of my favorite ships in all of everything. They're so good together. They are so good together. To the point where even the show is not telling you like they're dating, but like it is like outwardly. But on like if you look underneath the surface level stuff, if you look at the show even for half a second with the sort of side eye, is real clear that the show's like they're together. Like the show, it's like really, to me it's always been like really clear that Rei and Nagisa are together, just it's not said outwardly. Like these two are perfect together. Perfect. Their story over the course of Free is cute as shit. Say it with me, everybody. It's just cute, okay? It is fantastic. I love that Nagisa is the reason that Rei gets into swimming. And in season 3, Rei's the captain and Nagisa's his co-captain. And it's so good. It's so good because Nagisa brought him in, and Ray is like ascends to the captaincy. It's so good. It's so good. And Nagisa's there for his boyfriend because they're dating, and his future husband because they're gonna get married. I don't care what anyone says. Admittedly, there is some bias here because Regisa comes from a time where I was getting back into anime really heavily, and this, like, Free and Titan were my first seasonal shows, like the first season anime that I watched seasonally, episode by episode. So with both Titan and Free, there will always be heavy bias from me. Free is like my favorite anime of all time. I'm not even kidding. And Titan is probably like up there in my top 5 as well. And Regisa and Gianmarco was happening at the same time for me, so that was very conflicting ships and very intense emotions back then. But I do have, admittedly, heavy bias, not just for Free, but for Regisa, since it's from an era that I look back on fondly, so maybe it's nostalgia talking, maybe it's bias talking, but Regisa is just fantastic. I really don't think it is bias or, like, nostalgia. I feel like if you've seen Free, you'd probably end up agreeing with me. I can't give them any lower than an S. Like, they have to get the highest tier possible. They are absolutely friggin' fantastic. And on that note, everybody, that is 20 ships for you. 20 ships that you have submitted to me, and I have given back to you with their ratings on my rating system. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I hope you guys remember that these are only my opinions, and I hope we can have very civil discourse in both the live chat and the comment section down below. Or, if you're a member of the T-Squadron, a very friendly discussion in the Discord. And by friendly discussion, I mean, come at me, scrubs! No, not really. I would love to know your guys' opinion, though. What kind of video would you like to see next? I'm happy to do another ships video. In fact, I kind of like doing the ships video like most out of the 3, but I also love doing the husbandos videos, and I do feel bad that we skipped the waifus video, so I wouldn't mind doing like waifus or husbandos again. I'd love to do ships again, but I would be curious to see what you guys would like to see from me. I'm hesitant to do the rating your AniTubers thing, just because I feel like that could rock the boat, and I don't want to throw like a mountain of salt into the universe, because I feel like that might happen if I make that video. So I'm hesitant to do that. I don't know about that. I wouldn't mind maybe getting like a friend from AniTube to join me on one of these videos. Maybe we can rate some husbandos and ships or waifus together. I'm not gonna lie, folks, right now I'm leaning towards doing like another ships video, but maybe including another friend from AniTube. I think that could be a lot of fun, but I would love to know what you guys think, so let me know your thoughts either over on Twitter or in the comments below. But on that note, I have now covered all your ships, so I think I'm gonna go now, and I'm probably gonna go watch Free, if I'm totally honest. And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Before we go, as always, I have to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Sukochi, Tristan, and Verdun. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon. It is so appreciated. And if you too would like to join the T-Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get over there, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. But with all that said, everybody, I am going to take off. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.